Many people, myself included, have a strange fascination with villains. I mean, something about a person doing evil is just so entertaining. Villains are honestly just very important to a story. It's often said that every good hero has a good villain. And while I don't believe that that's necessarily always true, it is definitely frequently true. With that said, I have seen many of villains in my time, and it just comes with the territory of watching a lot of media. And among all these villains, I do have one that stands out above the others, and that is King Andrias from Amphibia. He is definitely one of my favorites, in my opinion, one of the best villains I've ever seen. So today, I'm going to go over why King Andrias is an amazing villain by discussing with you his role, plot, and character. Alright, so to start off with, every good villain should serve a very significant role in their story. For example, in Star Wars, Darth Vader serves as Luke's temptation to the dark side. Voldemort in Harry Potter fills the role as the main source of conflict, as well as the guy who tore apart Harry's life. So what does Andrias do? What role does Andrias serve? Well, he's the source of conflict as well, but he's also a foil to Anne. Both were betrayed by close friends, Leaf taking the music box from Andrias and Sasha tricking Anne into taking the music box, and both of these mistakes forced them to stay in Amphibia longer than they would like. Granted, they were for very different reasons, with Andrias wanting to invade other places, whereas Andrias wanted to go home. But once they got stuck in Amphibia, they both reacted very differently. Anne adjusted and adapted to the new life, whereas Andrias basically just let everything bottle up inside him and spent thousands of years hating himself for it. His role as a twist villain is also very well executed, but I'm going to get more into that later. But all in all, Andrias' role is showing exactly what happens when you hold on to resentment and a grudge. It's a really tragic tale that we're going to get into in the next segment here, but I just want to say, in terms of serving his role as a villain, he does a phenomenal job. There's very few characters that can do such a role while also providing a lot of comedy and a lot of drama. It's a hard thing to fill. And his relationship with Anne is very well executed, with them having scenes that directly call back, such as Andrias' final scene, where he says, doing what I should have done a long time ago, standing up to you. That is a direct parallel to Anne saying the same thing to Sasha.
Could have been immortal! What are you doing?
Something I should have done a long time ago. Standing up to you!
Anne, what are you doing? Something I should have done a long time ago. Standing up to you!
Now that we've gotten to his role in the story, what is his story? Well, his story is one of holding on to pain. You see, when he was younger, Leaf, his closest friend, stole the Calamity Box from him in order to prevent them from invading worlds because Leaf saw what they were doing. This led to his father tasking him with getting the box in, a task which would take thousands of years. This was Andrias' one purpose, his one thing that he needed to do. And in order to do it, Andrias had to try to trick the Calamity Trio. Particularly Marcy, who he tells that he's going to take on these grand adventures as long as she gets him what he wants.
I would have said anything if it meant you deliver the box to me fully charged. Hate to break it to you, kiddo, but you've been duped.
But he promised he'd take us with him to the new worlds, that we could have amazing adventures just like this one forever and ever. But why?
Why, indeed. Enough lies, Marmar. If you don't tell them the truth.
Of course, eventually he does betray her. And honestly, one of the most heart-wrenching scenes. Probably the best episode for King Andrias, as you might have guessed, is the episode True Colors, where he reveals his, well, true colors. The scene of Marcy pleading with Andrias about what their deal was is just such a great moment and really goes into just how insane this guy really is. Well, insane I guess isn't the right word, but, you know. And eventually, he does get forgiven, and I do gotta say, there is actually some development to his forgiveness. I'm not sure how I feel exactly about that part of the story, but I will say it's executed pretty decently. He doesn't have any power, which was my main issue with, say, White Diamond in Steven Universe, and he's now just a farmer. And he did actually do something to warrant it.
Don't close yourself off. Open your heart and follow it.
Now, with that said, let's talk about his character a bit. When we first meet Andrias, he's a bit of a goof, acting almost like a Santa Claus-esque figure. He acts very nice, he's trying to help them get home, but in reality, he's cunning and is secretly developing a plan to manipulate the trio. As we mentioned prior, he is very much a very clever villain. But even after the twist, when it gets revealed that he's evil, he still acts goofy, so it's not really an act. And I think that works really well for his character, because you don't have to learn a new personality. And this all also makes sense for him. See, he was raised to always serve his kingdom, which he sees as good, and this was instilled to him by his father and by the core, who is basically all of his ancestors put into one being. So he's willing to have fun because, well, he's the good guy in his eyes. This only stops when he gets serious. When he gets mad, that's when he suddenly takes on a more serious and aggressive tone. This is also greatly helped by Keith Davis, his voice actor, who does a phenomenal job. His work on this show is so good. The inflections in Andrias' voice, the way he talks, are part of what makes him such an iconic character to me. Oh, and one thing, like I said earlier, his redemption is earned, which is great, because I really do not like when redemptions are just rushed without being earned. It's not good moral, and whatever. As a character alone, even without being a villain though, Andrias is a lot of fun. I quite enjoy him, and a lot of it just comes down to the writing and his humor. A lot of his dialogue is really funny.
Well, don't stop on my account.
This is it! Charge!
And a lot of his moments are also just really good. He also has a lot of good dramatic moments, like when he's talking about his friends, or just really the entire episode of The Core and the King is really good for his character. I just really enjoy him. With that said, Andrias is a phenomenal villain that I would love to watch again and again. It definitely helps that Amphibia itself is great, and eventually I do want to make a full video just about the show in general. Not an episode. I want to do a full review of the series, but that'll have to come at a later date. Andrias himself is a near flawless villain. His purpose, plot, and character all add up to a phenomenal character, and I gotta say, that is not an easy thing to do. Usually, things only get one or two of those right, but when something gets all three of them right, that's when you get a really good character, or a really good villain. And Andrias is a perfect example of that to me. With that said, I hope you all give this show a shot if you haven't already. It's really worth it. And just hope you all have a good day. Until next time. I've been the Basement Reviewer. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked this video. And I'll see you in the next one.